Hello lovelies, I'm Black Veil. Thanks for clicking on this video. I cover mysterious, spooky, and true stories, so if those things interest you, please consider subscribing. Today I originally wanted to talk about how disgusting comments and even entire threads on Reddit and other sites can be when talking about content creators. Specifically, what sent me down the rabbit hole was a thread I was reading about a very large streamer / content creator in which grown-ass adults were discussing how they cannot wait for this person to be accused of being a pedo. Sit back and really think about what these people are actually hoping for here. They dislike a creator so much, for literally no reason, that they're basically wishing trauma on young people so that this person can be, quote-unquote, taken off their pedestal as they see it. Disgusting. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, however. Grow up, and if you don't like someone, keep scrolling. It's that simple. My opinion, at least. This is what led me to trying to figure out why certain creators are more hated than others, and I came to the conclusion it's one of two things. Again, let me say, these are my opinions, but it's either jealousy or the lack of understanding parasocial relationships and the slippery slope between these being beneficial and detrimental, depending on how far those involved are willing to take it. Even before Rona, I used to wonder, do other people feel as attached to their favorite content creators as I do, or am I the oddball? And I'm curious how many of you have wondered the same thing. Of course, celebrities have always had issues with obsessive fans getting overly attached, thinking they know these people and creating fantasies in their head that can and have become dangerous, like, for example, the Christina Grimmie case. However, I would argue that social media and getting to see these celebrities in their real lives and know them on a more personal level has made it even more of a problem. When it comes to influencers and content creators, this can be even more scary and dangerous because they are easier to get to and are much more likely to be doxxed and have random fans show up at their doorsteps. This is obviously not okay. Average creators don't have the security following them around and not nearly as much money as movie stars and musicians to be able to afford some of the safety luxuries that some of them need probably just as much as a regular celebrity. So, are parasocial relationships a good or bad thing? Well, like most things, it's both. As long as neither the influencer or their fans take it past the line of health, we'll call it, it can really be a helpful thing. Especially, it turns out, for those with social anxiety disorders, those that are socially isolated, like we all were for Rona, and those that are especially lonely. So first of all, what exactly are parasocial relationships? They are non-classical social relationships that are not reciprocal. Something comparative to relationships with traditional television characters. They can be formed with fictional characters, but also with real people like celebrities, politicians, YouTubers, content creators, etc. The concept of parasocial relationship is considered close to the concept of real-life relationships. The human brain is even believed to have difficulties in distinguishing real friends from parasocial relationships. According to a new research study, the parasocial compensation hypothesis posits that parasocial relationships could satisfy the need to belong of individuals by compensating their lack of real-life relationships. More precisely, this hypothesis reflects the fact that individuals feeling lonely, socially isolated, or with social skills deficits, such as social anxiety, may develop more intense parasocial relationships. Extreme forms of these relationships, called celebrity worshiping, have also been associated with maladaptive social behavior and with negative effects on the well-being of an individual. More specifically, the intensity of parasocial phenomena appears to be linked to a higher degree of addiction to these websites, social media, wherever it is they're getting their fill of these parasocial relationships. So similarly, parasocial relationships with YouTubers may also play a role in the development of a YouTube addiction. YouTube is the second most visited website in the world after Google, but ahead of Facebook. It is the most popular social media platform in the US, with 73% of American adults using it. Of course, these relationships and YouTube addiction is much more complex than a direct association, but Both variables may be affected by social anxiety. So social anxiety is defined by the American Psychiatric Association as an excessive and persistent fear in social or performance situations that are either avoided or painfully and reluctantly endured, which can make it more difficult for them to establish positive relationships. The internet provides opportunities for less stressful interactions and is therefore perceived as a more comfortable medium for interaction by individuals with elevated social anxiety, which makes it closely related to the development of an online addiction, which could also constitute a predisposed vulnerability to YouTube addiction. Besides social anxiety, other variables might be associated with parasocial relationships, things like loneliness variables, social support variables, and anxious attachment style. You have to realize that companies like YouTube and Twitch both understand and capitalize on these relationships. In a 2015 paper written by Paul Webster, it was pointed out that social media platforms like YouTube give advice, straight parasocial bonding tips, to creators on how to expand their audience. Twitch and YouTube streamers financially depend upon their platforms and try to cultivate a friendly, pleasant internet persona that tends to have a positive effect on their bank accounts. Indeed, the way to success is through parasocial relationships. And unfortunately, in some cases, these relationships become manipulative in nature. Even if the creator's not being malicious, they still profit off their fans. And I think this is where a lot of the hate comes in. I personally have been diagnosed with social anxiety since I was 14 years old, which in turn causes me to have severe anxiety to even leave my house, which was just exacerbated by Rona. So like many others, I turned to the internet, YouTube specifically, to fill in some of the gaps in my life, the boredom, loneliness, anxiety, etc. There are definitely content creators I feel closer to and would say I have a more intense parasocial relationship with, and I think those that let us into their lives more, whether it be through streaming, vlogs, or just being very open about their struggles with their fans, make the line a little more blurred. But that's not to say it's a negative thing. Just like my emotional support doggy, Mr. Meatball, there are times when I have felt so low, lonely, depressed, anxious, whatever, and turning to my favorite influencers' videos and streams can really help me feel better, or maybe even smile or laugh for the first time that day. Watching Ludwig, Jacksepticeye, Valkyrae, Sykkuno, Call Me Kevin, Corpse Husband, and so many more play games and make each other laugh is a fun and contagious way to spread happiness, in my opinion. Kendall Ray and Better Off Red are some of my favorite true crime creators that also vlog. We recently got to see Kendall and Josh's beautiful baby girl on the Sesh podcast, and have gotten to see Sarah make a big move with her husband from DC to New York. It's interesting, entertaining, fun, and can make you forget about your own problems for a while and feel closer to these people you may admire. I obviously can only speak for myself, but Corpse Husband's music with songs like Agoraphobic and Life Waster, and his openness about his mental health struggles, chronic illnesses, and things like that I absolutely relate to, make me feel less alone in my own personal struggles. And I think that is partly why he seems to get more hate than others. I was trying to find one valid reason why he got so much hate, but was only met with things like, I don't like his voice, or I think he's a liar about his conditions, or even more absurdly, they hate him because his fans love him so much. Sure, that makes sense, right? I have read plenty of comments very similar to what I've already said on how him being so open with his struggles really helps me with mine and helps others with theirs, so why does that bother the haters so much? I guess that's the question of the day. If someone wants to get his "only breath" tweet tattooed on their body, that's their prerogative. If people were more understanding and kind, the world would obviously be a much better place. It has always been Hollywood culture to put celebs up on a pedestal just to watch and pray to see them be knocked off those pedestals. Now this has extended to anyone on the internet, especially influencers. And I think the bottom line comes down to jealousy. The fact that these people spend so much time of their life hating on others instead of just, I don't know, not watching them, is quite pathetic in my opinion. Call me a simp, call me whatever you want, I really don't care. I just think it's wrong to pray for someone to have their life ruined just because you don't like their content. Just keep it moving. It's really that simple. All this to say, really, is to remind everyone, parasocial relationships can be helpful, but if taken too far, they can be super detrimental. So try to remember these people are just regular people and let them live their private lives. Don't assume y'all are friends and they want you to show up at their homes. They don't. But if you are depressed, anxious, or just sad and want to watch your favorite influencers to feel better, don't let anyone make you feel bad for that. So comment down below. Who are your favorite content creators that help you when you feel down? I'm Black Veil. Please like and subscribe if you liked and want to subscribe. Hopefully catch you in the next one.